Is it that hard to tell the truth, or are you just too freaking lazy to do the research yourself?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back to That Bourbon Dude. My name is Charles. Today we are going to dive into a touchy subject. Apparently, nobody seems to be getting this right. They keep doing the lazy way out. Quick Google search, read the first line, spill some nonsense to the general public. The viewers do not deserve this. They need the truth. And I'm going to put forth the truth today. I've spent several days working on this for you guys, and I want you to know that it's important that you know the difference between these two things. But before we dive into it, if you would like to support this channel, please do so the free way. Simply hit subscribe, like the video. If you're feeling incredibly generous, drop me a comment. I would greatly appreciate it. So let's jump right into this video. It's going to be a bit of a long one, but it's going to be worth it. You guys need this information because so many channels are putting out fake news. Okay, it's BS. That I don't know if they just don't do the research, they don't care, or they think you guys are just dumb and they're not going to pay attention. I thought it had stopped, and then it just keeps resurfacing. So I'm going to dive into it now. The problem we're seeing here is people are saying that this is a market correction, and that is just factually not true. We are in a speculative bubble burst. We're going to dive into this, and I'm going to show you right now what I'm talking about. I put together 4 charts for you guys so I can show you the evidence. If you don't believe me, please, by all means, just do a quick Google research, read the material. I'm going to show you what everyone has been putting out. I think they're just reading like the first line and skipping, and they're not really wanting to do the research. They're just blazing through this, and you guys are not getting the truth. And I don't know if it's because they're purposely trying to mislead you or just lazy, but regardless, whichever way it is, it makes them less credible by not doing what they need to do to serve the public. Okay, so let's get into this. All right, here we go. Let's start off with the most basic thing we can do. Okay, let's talk about the definitions of market correction and speculative bubble. Okay, now here we go. Market correction. A market correction is a short term decline in the stock market or other financial markets, typically defined as a drop of 10 to 20%. Right there. That's all people are reporting on. They stop. They're like, oh, this is a market correction, 10 to 20%. Yes, we have had a market correction of 10 to 20%, but let's finish this. Defined as a drop of 10 to 20% from recent peak. Corrections are a natural part of market cycles and often serve to adjust overvalued prices, restore balance, and prevent overheating. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot into this. Okay. Nobody's talking about it. I don't know why. I just don't think they care enough to tell you guys the truth. So let's take a look at this. How long does normal last? What's the duration? Few months, few weeks, right? We're like a year into this and it's still going downhill. Okay. This is typically caused by normal market fluctuations, profit taking, interest rates change, and mild economic concerns. We've had a lot of major economic concerns. Okay, we're going to dive into that a little bit more in just a moment. Now, this often leads to recovery and continued long term growth. Is that what's going to happen? Are we actually going to see long term growth? Maybe, but how is it actually going to pan out for everybody? Okay. Now let's look at speculative bubble. A speculative bubble is a market condition categorized by a rapid, unsustainable, I can't even talk, unsustainable increase in asset prices driven by excessive investor enthusiasm, speculation, and what? Herd behavior. Okay. When bubble burst, prices crashed dramatically. Did they crash dramatically? Yes. Do we see herd behavior? Yes. Everybody's wanting to stick their freaking toes into the bourbon market, build a distillery, make some quick cash. Okay. It was going on. People, please pay attention. Do not miss the details. The details are important when it comes to things like this. All right. Let's talk about this. Duration, medium to long term, months to years. Well, that seems pretty accurate because we're already a freaking year into it. Okay. Um, here's the part. Irrational exuberance, speculation, detachment from fundamental values. What does that mean? Well, people were just throwing cash at the whole bourbon market, building up stuff, continuing to grow, reckless abandonment, thrown to the side. We don't care. We're getting in. We're on a massive bull run, the biggest freaking spike in the whiskey spirit world we have ever seen. Everyone's making money hand over fist. They were at it, right? Okay, now what's the outcome? Severe crash, economic damage, and often investors panic. Yes, we are seeing investors panic and pull out. Economic damages, we've seen what, three, four distilleries already closed, distilleries getting bought up. Um, I don't know if I would call it a consolidation because they didn't actually own this distillery, but they pulled their resources together to make themselves more powerful. I'm talking about Bardstown and Green River now operating under a single umbrella. What is it? Middle West Spirits has acquired Old Elk. There we go. Stuff keeps happening. All right, now let me bring up this next chart here. Okay. Now, this is kind of for us to compare and contrast the two. No one else is talking about this. Okay. Now, I want us to focus a little bit on the similarities on this. Uh, Hit pause, read through all these. I don't want to take up all of your time, but I want to get this video out because it's important that you know the truth and people just are not saying what needs to be said about this. Okay. But again, let's take a look real quick. 10 to 20% drop. That is all people are reporting on. They're forgetting everything else. Okay. Now, that's for the market correction. Now, let's look over here at the similarities. Now, there's a lot of similarities. Even if you um, just read over these real quick, you're like, well, there's not that much difference. But I will show you where the difference comes in. Okay. Both of these have significant price drops. Not denying that, right? But the big difference is one is a short term price drop, one is a long term price drop with economic damages that will be incurred. People losing jobs, people closing down stuff. Look what Brown Forman did. They closed down cooperages, maybe a bottling facility. We've had Barrel shut down that new bottling facility in Louisville. Things are happening. Okay. People don't talk about this. I don't know why. Uh, let's see here. Triggers a shift investors. Yeah. People are not putting the money into it like they were, 18, 24 months ago. We're seeing people pull out. There are a few people still throwing some money at it, but they're coming at it from a different angle. They're not just doing things whiskey, like they're not just bottling whiskey. They're bringing an experience. Look at what LF Distilling is doing. So they're putting whiskey on the market, but they're going to have hotels, entertainment, concert, not concert hall, like a amphitheater. That's what I'm trying to get to. Amphitheater. They're bringing a full experience. So they're not just leaning heavily on one thing to keep them afloat. They have diversified and come at this at a incredibly smart approach. Okay. Emotions heavily influence both. Yes. People are like, FOMO, let's get in this. Let's make some money, right? Everybody's doing it. Um, Here's the part that both reset market valuations. But the difference between the two is one is the short term reset, one is a long term reset. The bubble bursting is a long term reset, which you see a more of a drastic price drop for longer periods of time. So the level of resistance for it to get back up to the peak that it was during COVID, we may never see that again because the higher the valuation of these assets go, the stronger the pull down to get them back. And that's when you actually see a natural market correction. Okay. Now let's go over here to this next part. This next part is where it really gets interesting. Now, one person I've heard that's in the whiskey space is talking about the Black Swans events that has happened. Okay. Black Swan event, In the stock market refers to a rare, unpredictable event that has severe consequences and is often only explained in hindsight. Has anything like that happened? Let me see. Maybe we'll talk about those. Let's figure this out. Okay. Are they rare? Yeah, they are rare. Extremely difficult to predict, too. Most people didn't see it. I saw it. I've been preaching it since the very beginning. Nobody listened to me. I was just pounded on the internet. Everybody attacking me, saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. The market's fine. It's not going anywhere. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I saw it. I said it, and it happened. Okay. Impact widespread disruption often results in massive financial loss and major structural shifts. Okay. That happen. Look at all the people who are starting to pull their resources. Again, I'm going to go back to Green River at Bardstown. They've teamed up. They're now under one umbrella. Look at Brown Foreman doing their thing, pulling everything back, trying to reduce their cost. Okay. They are hurting. They need some money, right? Now, the hindsight part, everybody tries to predict everything. And they're like, oh, we should have saw this. It doesn't happen that way. That's not how this works. We are absolutely blindsided when this happens for the most part. But a few of us, like myself, called this. Okay. Now, Black Swan events. Let's take a look at these. I want to give you some examples of these so you understand what I'm talking about. Let's take a look. September 11th, 9/11 terrorist attack. That was a Black Swan event that triggered a global market drop, right? The financial crisis of '08, the housing one, Lehman Brothers' massive meltdown that they had caused the housing market to freaking collapse. Oh, what is this? March 2020 COVID-19 pandemic? Hello, people. That was our Black Swan event. That is what made this happen even more so than anything. We were already trending upward at a extremely fast pace. But what COVID did was exacerbate the problem, amplify all the issues, cause increased supply chain issues. People had to throw additional money at everything to make it work. Okay. They had to put so much more into it to get it to where it needed to be. And now we're way the hell up here. We were way down here. And guess what? Everything collapsed on them, right? It started fading away. And it didn't just kind of gradually. You can look at the publicly traded companies, it dropped fast. I mean, a sharp downturn in the market. Okay. Now, what really happened with that Black Swan event? Well, sometimes an unexpected shock, Black Swan event, aka COVID, triggers a collapse of a bubble that was already vulnerable, right? This was going to happen regardless if COVID happened or not. Yes, if COVID didn't happen, I think we would have probably continued on a course very much, I don't know, typical of what we had seen in the previous 6 to 8 year cycle. Okay. Now, COVID, everybody was off, everybody started hunting, we started getting these checks, people started pushing harder for alcohol, depression set in on people, people drinking more, hunting alcohol more. Companies saw this, they started investing more, boom, started going up, right? But COVID triggered a sudden market crash. Everything went crazy. Okay. That is where we're at today. Okay. It was the catalyst that took us to this situation that we're at. Now, a lot of people are in the comment section are going to continue to blast me for putting this out. I don't care. I think it's important that I bring to you the information, even if I look like the bad guy. It does not matter. What is important is that we're honest with you as YouTubers. It is our responsibility to be factually correct and honest every time. Okay. And if someone is pushing a narrative of something that is not true, I will do my best to put my thumb on it and squash it for you guys, bring you guys the truth, make sure that we're getting what we need out of these videos. I don't want anyone to be taken advantage of or being misled with this horrible information that's being put out in there. If you see people pushing the narrative that it is a market correction, not a speculative bubble bursting with a Black Swan event. Can you trust them? That's up for you to decide. I'm not going to tell you who to watch, who not to watch. I'm just going to continue to put out the best information that I can to you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you got value in this, subscribe. We got more coming, and we'll see you on the next one. Bourbon Dude out.